Three men are sitting directly behind three nuns at a baseball game. They can't see the game because the nuns' habits are partially blocking their view. So the men decide to badger the nuns, hoping that they'd get annoyed enough to move to another area. In a very loud voice, the first guy says,
"I think I'm gonna move to Utah. There are only about 100 nuns living there."
The second guy speaks up and says,
"How about Mississippi? There are probably less than 50 nuns there."
The third guy says,
"No, Maine would be much better. It would be almost impossible to find a nun in Maine."
One of the nuns coolly turns around, looks at the men, and in a very sweet and calm voice says,
"How about a place where there are no nuns at all? Why don't you just go to hell?"
A man walked into the produce section of his local supermarket and asked to buy a half a head of cabbage. The boy working in that department told him that they only sold whole heads of cabbage. The man was insistent that the boy ask the manager about the matter. Walking into the back room, the boy said to the manager,
"Some old fart outside wants to buy a half a head of cabbage."
As he finished his sentence, he turned around to find that the man had followed and was standing right behind him. So the boy quickly added,
"And this gentleman kindly offered to buy the other half."
The manager approved the deal, and the man went on his way. Later, the manager said to the boy,
"I was impressed with the way you got yourself out of that situation earlier. We like people who can think on their feet here. Where are you from, son?"
"Russia, sir,"
the boy replied.
"Why did you leave Russia?" the manager asked.
The boy said,
"Sir, there's nothing but prostitutes and ice hockey players in Russia."
"Is that right?" fumed the manager. "My wife's from Russia."
"Really?"
replied the boy.
"What team did she play for?"
Walter and Linda were a middle-aged couple blessed with two beautiful daughters. Although they felt incredibly lucky to have their girls, Walter and Linda always yearned for a boy. They began trying for another baby, and it wasn't long before Linda became pregnant. 9 months later, they welcomed a baby boy into the world. Walter was at work when his wife was rushed to the hospital, so he got there as quickly as he could. To his horror, his son was absolutely hideous, especially when considering how beautiful his daughters were.
"How can I possibly be the father of that ugly baby?"
he exclaimed to his wife.
"It's just not possible that I fathered him after we had those two beautiful girls."
Linda blushed, which made him suspicious.
"Have you been fooling around behind my back?"
he asked. His wife replied,
"Not this time, honey."
An 80-year-old man was asked for a sperm count by his doctor as part of his physical exam. The doctor gave the man a jar and said,
"Take this jar home and bring back a sample tomorrow."
The next day, the 80-year-old man reappeared at the doctor's office and gave him the jar, which was as clean and empty as on the previous day. The doctor asked him what happened. The man explained,
"Well, Doc, it's like this. First I tried with my right hand, but nothing. Then I tried with my left hand, but still nothing. Then I asked my wife for help. She tried with her right hand, and then with her left, and still nothing. She tried with her mouth, first with the teeth in, and then with the teeth out. Still nothing. We even called up Arlene, the lady next door, and she tried too. First with both hands, then an armpit, and she even tried squeezing it between her knees, but still nothing."
The doctor was shocked.
"You asked your neighbor?"
The old man replied,
"Yup. None of us could get the jar open."
The kindergarten class had a homework assignment to write about something exciting that happened to them. When the time came for the little kids to give their reports, the teacher was calling on them one at a time. She was reluctant to call upon little Johnny, knowing that he sometimes could be a bit crude. But eventually, his turn came. Little Johnny walked up to the front of the class and, with a piece of chalk, made a small white dot on the blackboard, then sat back down. The teacher couldn't figure out what Johnny had in mind for his report, so she asked him just what that was.
It's a period.
Reported Johnny.
Well, I can see that.
She said.
But what is so exciting about a period?
Damned if I know.
Said Johnny.
But this morning my sister said she missed one. Then Daddy had a heart attack, Mommy fainted, and the man next door shot himself.
Two men are driving through London when they get pulled over. The police officer walks up and taps on the window with his stick. The driver rolls down his window and whack! The officer smacks him in the head with the stick. The driver asks, "What the hell was that for?" The officer answers, "You're in London, son. When we pull you over, you better have your license ready when we get to your car." The driver says, "I'm sorry, officer. I'm not from around here." The officer does a check on the driver's license and he's okay. He gives the man his license back, walks around to the passenger side and taps on the window. The passenger rolls down the window and whack! The officer smacks him on the head with the stick. The passenger asks, "What did you do that for?" "Just making your wish come true," replies the officer. The passenger asks, "Making what wish come true?" The officer replies, "I know that 2 miles down the road you're going to say to your friend here, 'I wish that hole would have tried that with me.'" Several men are in the locker room of a local gym. A cell phone on a bench rings, and a man puts the phone on speaker and begins to talk. Everyone else in the room stops to listen. "Hello?" says the man. A woman answers.
Honey, it's me. Are you at the club?
"Yes," the man replies. The woman continues.
I'm at the mall now, and I found this beautiful leather coat. It's only $1,200, down from $1,900. Is it okay if I buy it?
"Sure, go ahead if you like it that much," says the man.
Oh, thanks so very much,
Says the woman.
I also stopped by the Mercedes dealership this morning and saw the new models. There was one that I really liked.
"How much?" asks the man. The woman replies.
$80,000.
"Okay," says the man. "But for that price, I want it with all the optional extras."
Great!
The woman says.
Oh, and one more thing. The house that we looked at last year, it's back on the market. They're asking for $1.5 million.
The man replies, "Well then, go ahead and make them an offer, but no more than $1.25 million. "Love you, bye," says the man as he hangs up. The other men in the locker room are looking at him in absolute astonishment. Then he smiles and asks, "Anyone know whose phone this is?" An Irishman is stumbling through the woods, totally drunk, when he comes upon a preacher baptizing people in the river. The drunk proceeds into the water, subsequently bumping into the preacher. The preacher turns around and is almost overcome by the smell of alcohol when he asks the drunk, "Are you ready to find Jesus?" The drunk shouts, "Yes, I am!" So the preacher grabs the drunk and dunks him under the water. He pulls him back out and asks, "Brother, have you found Jesus?" The drunk replies, "No, I haven't found Jesus." The preacher, shocked at the answer, dunks him once again, but for a little longer this time. He again pulls him out of the water and asks, "Have you found Jesus, my brother?" The drunk answers, "No, I haven't found Jesus." By this time, the preacher is at his wit's end. So he dunks the drunk again, but this time he holds the drunk down until he begins kicking his legs and waving his arms. The preacher again asks the drunk, "For the love of God, have you found Jesus?" The drunk staggers upright, wipes his eyes, coughs up a bit of water, catches his breath, and says to the preacher, "Are you sure this is where he fell in?" It is late at night and a man is driving up a steep, narrow mountain road. He's been driving for over an hour without seeing another car. Suddenly, he sees a pair of headlights coming his way. As they get closer, he notices the car is beginning to slow down. Curious, the man slows down also. As the two cars pass each other, the man notices that it's his ex-girlfriend in the other car. She leans out of her window and yells, "Pig!" The man, infuriated, immediately leans out of his window and yells,
Witch!
Then they continue on their way. Moments later, as the man is rounding the next corner, he crashes into a pig standing in the road. A young blonde woman decides to try horseback riding, even though she has had no lessons or prior experience. She mounts the horse unassisted, and the horse immediately springs into action. As the horse gallops along at a steady and rhythmic pace, the blonde begins to slip from the saddle. In terror, she grabs for the horse's mane but cannot get a firm grip. She tries to throw her arms around the horse's neck, but she slides down the side of the horse anyway. The horse gallops along, seemingly oblivious of its slipping rider. Finally, losing her frail grip, the blonde attempts to leap away from the horse and throw herself to safety. Unfortunately, her foot becomes entangled in the stirrup, and she is now at the mercy of the horse's pounding hooves as her head is struck against the ground over and over and over. As her head is battered against the ground and she is mere moments away from unconsciousness, to her great fortune, the Walmart greeter sees her and unplugs the horse. Billy Bob had long heard the stories of an amazing family tradition. It seems that his father, grandfather, and great-grandfather had all been able to walk on water on their 18th birthday. On that special day, they had each walked across the lake to the pub on the far side for their first legal drink. So, when Billy Bob's 18th birthday comes around, he and his pal Bubba take a boat out to the middle of the lake. Billy Bob steps out of the boat and nearly drowns. Bubba just barely manages to pull him to safety. Furious and confused, Billy Bob goes to see his grandmother.
Granny,
He asks,
it's my 18th birthday, so why can't I walk across the lake like Pappy, Grandpappy, and Great-Grandpappy?
His granny replies,
'Cause you was born in August. But your pappy, grandpappy, and great-grandpappy were all born in December, when the lake is frozen.
A redneck is hiking through the woods with two Native Americans. As they come across a cave, one of the natives yells, "Whoop, whoop!" Another voice calls from the cave, "Whoop, whoop!" The native then strips out of his clothes and runs into the cave.
What was that all about?
Asks the redneck. The other native explains, "It's our mating ritual. A woman who is ready to mate will wait in a cave. If we come across a cave, we yell inside. If we hear a call back, we know we can go in and meet with her." A few minutes later, they come across another cave. The remaining native yells, "Whoop, whoop!" Another voice calls from the cave, "Whoop, whoop!" Without hesitation, the second native takes off his clothes and runs inside. Now all alone, the redneck continues on his way. Eventually, he comes across a very large cave.
There must be a large, beautiful woman in there,
He thinks to himself.
Whoop, whoop!
He calls out. A very loud whoop, whoop comes from the cave.
Wow, she's got a voice.
He thinks.
Sounds like she's larger and beautifuler than I imagined.
He strips off his clothes and runs into the cave. The next day, the headline in the local newspaper reads,
Naked redneck run over by train.